U.S. stock indices gave up early gains to close mostly lower on Friday. Stocks had an early boost from a report by Bloomberg that China plans to accelerate purchases of American farm goods to comply with the Phase 1 trade deal signed in January. Beijing intends to step up buying of everything from soybeans to corn to ethanol. But if I only had a dime for every time I heard this kind of news. The market sold off later in the day after the World Health Organization signaled that the coronavirus pandemic remains a threat. Additionally, Apple said it will reclose some stores due to rising case counts in parts of the United States. This cast doubt on the strength and momentum of the economic recovery. However, all three indices still made gains over the week. As of this video, worldwide, we have about 8.5 million people infected with the coronavirus, and the virus has killed about 450,000 people. And this information coming from Johns Hopkins University. Some believe the markets have gone up a little too far in light of the news coming out. On Friday, Boston Federal Reserve President Eric Rosengren cautioned that the U.S. economy isn't likely to have a fast recovery, and more support will likely be needed from the Federal Reserve and Congress. Some believe that optimism regarding reopenings could fuel a comeback. Again, I wish I had a dime for every time I heard that. In my humble opinion, you need to be concerned with two things: the Fed and the charts. So let's take a look at our charts. We're going to start out with a quick look at the VIX, and the symbol is $VIX using stockcharts.com. And as we talked about recently, the bottoming pattern is occurring here in the last, say, month and a half or so. This bottom here bounced off of that 200 MA on up through the 50 MA, topped out at about 45, came back down, and seems to be riding along that 50 MA. So it's at an elevated level of 35.12, well over double what it should be or what I'd like to see. So it could be dangerous coming here into next week or the week after. Keep your eyes on that. Looking here at the MAC, we've come down here, nice bottom basing pattern. Fast line moved up and through the slow line. Both the fast line and the slow line are heading toward that zero line, and that could mean trouble. Also up here in the RSI, you can see that subsequent to the minor eruption last week, the RSI seems to be trying to bottom here in this area just slightly above that midline. So again, a number of flags here that we need to keep our eyes out for. So let's go now to our charts. And now we're looking at the 2-year weekly on the spiders, the SPY, and the close on Friday was 308.64 from that bottom here in March up to that top there in early June. You can see, at least for the 3 or 4 of you that have seen my previous videos, it looks like there may be a topping process here happening, and that would coincide with what we see in the VIX. I think that's the greatest probability. It's not a fact at this point, and it's not in concrete. It's just the greater of the probabilities. Moving down into volume looks fine, and the MAC looks fine until you get to the histogram, and the histogram shows that it's not accelerating any longer. It's stabilized here. However, that could be a sign of a topping process. We'll have to keep our eyes out on that. Moving here into the price rate of change, that doesn't really indicate anything to me one way or the other. It's in a moderate level here near that zero line. The fast line has moved up, but it's turned sideways. The slow line is moving on up too, but still it's muddled in that zero area. Moving down, we have an offsetting oscillator here, the RSI. We're at a moderate level of 57.90 with a potential topping process here. Down into the stochastics once again, kind of another oscillator that's giving us a mixed signal. Looks pretty good, looks fine to me, moving on up toward that overbought territory. It's not there yet, but it may get there soon. On the other hand is the Williams. The Williams looks like a possible topping process here with that move up to this point and then back down here. So we could do some more sawtoothing up here, but it's just something we need to be mindful of. Moving back up here into the price chart, one last look. Again, the probability, the greater probability in my mind is a topping process. I'm not looking for a crash, just maybe a pullback. So just be patient and prudent. And for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.